Morning.
Good morning, Jenny.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well. I was just yawning, so I muted myself.
No worries.
Still trying to get my coffee to kick in.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty late, but I also need another coffee.
Everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. So, I guess we are complete. So this is 25th of July, 2022, Delivery Group Weekly. Welcome, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon for wherever you are. So we have a few announcements this week. Akman is going to be out, Alessio out as well until August 17, and I'm going to be out from August 5th to August 12th. Just being in mind with that. In addition to that, we have a new results for the poll survey for Q2 of financial year 2023. There is the link on the agenda to the presentation. There are some results there. In addition to that, just to mention that platform is actually having their own kind of survey on this kind of information. So we're actually trying to be a bit more granular there and so on. So if you remember, there was sent in Q2 and there's going to be another one sent probably in a month or so. So we are trying to look at that a bit more closely, so to have a better also understanding of the needs of the platform team members. In addition to that, we still have the OKRs discussions open, both for orchestration system. So if you didn't do that, please go there and try to contribute to both of them, if it's possible, or only to one of them, still okay. We have
just to jump in on the OKR one. So for everyone, this is the final week of Q2. So we will be finalizing OKRs in the next couple of days so that we are ready to begin in Q3.
Thank you. I added two discussion points to today's agenda. The first one is the fast food. So in the last weeks, me and Amy worked a lot to find possible solutions for dates and locations and so on. So we actually added to the document only some of them. So we also added some solutions even for Florence on the same day that we were proposing, because Alessio might have some problems to join the case. It was a bit out of Florence, but also if it's in Florence, it's going to be a bit tricky. In addition to that, we have the one for Berlin with 2 dates. Another date was the end of August, so the week after Contribute. In theory, I'm not sure if this would be a day that would have worked for everybody, but there was a lot of problems with finding an overlap with for everyone's availability, and also trying to keep the cost low. So flights are in general right now, I don't know for which reason. I mean, but probably not the reason, much more expensive than usual. So we analyze also some parts, so like maybe in some parts in Eastern Europe, they usually are a bit cheaper and so on. But we started to have lower cost of life, but definitely the flights, they were still the same or even a bit higher, because you need to add an extra leg to reach these places. So we spoke with Amy, with Marin about that. We are not intending to cancel this fast food proposal, but we are actually probably trying to maybe refine a bit more the content and trying to also push it a bit further in the year, maybe around the end of the year or something like that, or the beginning, and try to push it to that moment. Also to be able to get a bit further out maybe from the visiting grant that has been just approved. And so maybe people can try to also leverage that now. And in addition to that, clearly the cost of the visiting grant are much lower of our fast food proposal. So we should have also some strong content and strong goals that we want to achieve in that. Any comments on that, anyone?
I have a question.
Yes.
With the difficulty in finding some overlapping times for all team members. I'm wondering if it would be beneficial at all to consider creating a fast boot for our individual teams.
We could. I think this is also going to be driven by the fact of what we want to work in the fast boot proposal. So if we are finding some synergies or in the goal that we want to work on, maybe something that is around set deployments and having like both orchestration and system working together in that in 1 week, I think it's going to be probably very beneficial. And in addition to that, I think it's going to be very good for everybody to meet all together, because at the end we are still one team. And I think at the end it's important that we all get to know each other together. So the idea is still try to keep it all together, but clearly we can revisit in the future.
I have another question. I haven't read the temporal visiting grant, but I noticed that it is limited to this new quarter, the third quarter. Do we know if it is going to be extended to yet another quarter, or what is going to be the evolution of that?
Assume not, I think.
Okay.
For this one. And this is actually to kind of repeat a little bit of what Michele was saying, is we don't want you all to miss out on having the chance to use the visiting grant. Like if we do a fast boot in this quarter, we'll be using that visiting grant. At the moment, it doesn't look like we'll be able to get something together in time that fits this grant. So that's kind of why we'll say for sure we won't be trying to put a fast boot in for Q3, but strongly encourage you all to take advantage of this grant if you want to in Q3. But no, I wouldn't assume it's going to be extended. I believe this is a Q3 specific.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy. I added also another point to the discussion of today. So we got pinged, me and Amy, last week by Steve about a couple of incidents that happened during the soft PCL of the release day. So there was Steve called for an investigation to understand why these things happened during a soft PCL, and there is a bit of a discussion in the issue to understand a bit how it happened, and also to understand how we can make people more aware of soft PCLs during release days. So there were some discussion from Jar, from myself, and from Amy, maybe to try to establish maybe a single source of truth for PCLs, so that can be created by tooling, and also like where people can know where this kind of when the PCL dates are set, and maybe build some automation around that. So there is I didn't want to propose a solution there, but I wanted to maybe have more of a discussion, but probably involving chat ops and having single source of truth there to build automation probably could be something very useful. And that can be, chat ops can be used both to understand if there is a PCL ongoing, but also like all the various commands maybe check automatically if the PCL is ongoing in the moment that a feature flag is going to be flipped or other activities in production can happen. Clearly, not everything is going through chat ops. So CRs sometimes are executed, outside of chat ops and so on. A possible solution there would be to introduce maybe in the approval list, just to make it a bit heavier, the execution of a chat ops command to understand if you are under a PCL or not, and to be sure that this is like agreed from everybody. If you have more ideas or how we could prevent this kind of issues to happening again in the future, feel free to contribute in the issue, but please also raise them now, and I'm very happy to chat about that so we can try to mitigate this kind of risk in the future.
And I think, yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Quick question.
Yes.
Why are we the only people looking into this?
I was just going to comment. I was literally going to just say around terms of ownership. So there's a piece that very much falls on us. which I have on my list to open an MR for, which is our handling of deployments. So that's quite a straightforward bit. Then there is a kind of shared ownership, which falls on everybody, but perhaps a little bit heavier on delivery, which is around feature flags. So there is no real single owner of feature flags, but certainly delivery benefit the most from everybody else using them. So that's where it does us good to also kind of help out in this case. In terms of CRs, I think that's infra and maybe a little bit more reliability. So I don't think we necessarily have to drive the resolution of that. We can maybe just contribute.
Yeah. I mean, right now we have it also here in the discussion because me and Amy got that pinged by Steve. So we are actually bringing one up to attention to us because we are also, responsible for releasing.
I
One
don't
thing
disagree with that. I mean, it was just the fact that I'm looking at the root causes for these two incidents. They both do not have a root cause listed. So the fact that we are the ones being targeted seems a little suspicious in my mind.
At the time the issue was raised, it was suspected a deployment may be the cause. It's been confirmed since then that it wasn't. So I think the urgency from our side has dropped a little, but it still highlights, certainly it still highlights a gap, which actually we do have a PCL on the 22nd. I think there is real benefit to us having that. And actually one suggestion I'm going to make, and Myra, perhaps see if you have a strong disagreement with this, is I actually wonder if we should not deliberately not run post-deploy migrations at any point around that. Because one of the things, although in this case, the incident wasn't deploy related, one of the early questions was could we roll this back? And unfortunate time was Ahmad had literally just run the post-deploy migration. So I'm thinking that perhaps on the 22nd, there are some benefits to non-risky changes taking place. I think we still want deployments. And I said to Steve, there is a lot of benefit for us deploying because otherwise we can't do a patch release. But perhaps we do still make use of the soft PCL.
Just to add on top of what you just said, Skarbek, if you look also at the CR that actually started the problem, due diligence here there has not been done. So no change approval or check technician reviewers has been checked the boxes. So that's another thing that is not really compliant.
But it was a reliability CR though, wasn't it?
Yes.
Reliability and development, yeah.
Yes, but there is no compliance with our process also in the way that it was executed as well. Thank you.
So if people have more ideas, one thing I was going to suggest, because I think feature flags do benefit, is if reliability were able to get PCLs into some centralized location, we could potentially update our production health check and add in there just as information, hey, there's a PCL in place. And you wouldn't need to do anything to override it. But if you were deploying, it would just give you a prompt, and a developer could have the same information, which is hey, a PCL is under operation. And we then trust individuals to go check out what that means and get the required approval before they proceed. Cool.
Thank you, Amy. Release managers, do we want to with a look about how to deploy packages dashboard and deployment frequency?
I can try to do this.
Based on your experience last month, you may want to jump in as well. So cool. Let's go back.
How about I start, and if Myra says I did anything wrong with my sharing of knowledge, she could be like, John, you're very wrong. Let's see. Last week, I feel like the number of packages we tagged was a little off. Or a little more than 50% off at the beginning of the week, but then we caught up nicely near the tail end of the week. I think we had some incidents at the beginning of the week that was probably leading towards this, but we got better at the end of the week, which is very good, right?
I did the incidents earlier this morning, and Myra, it might be worth just you double checking, because this is off the top of my head. I recall problems on the Monday, and we had a lot of problems on the Friday. So that's the 22nd. So that makes sense. But I don't have anything at all for that middle of the week. So could you, it might be that's fine, but would you mind just double checking that we haven't missed something? This is going to be super important this month because MTTP is really high, which is explainable, but it does mean that we will have to explain that in the next key metrics meeting.
Yeah, for sure. I can double check.
Thank you.
So the other one we're looking at is the deployment frequency. Last week we averaged 3.8 per day, which I think is pretty good. I think that's pretty much in alignment with where we usually are. Like, if anything, it looks better compared to most weeks, in my opinion. Myra, is there anything else I'm supposed to mention related to deployment frequency?
Nope, I think it shows that like the weekend is show there, like July 23rd and July 24th, in which we didn't have, and that we are slowly decreasing again in July 25th.
I wish I could customize the date range to give me like a target week.
A
but
milestone,
whatever.
yeah, that would be helpful.
Whatever. The last one was the lead time, which looks like this. And yeah, it
so
looks
something
like
happened
this.
on the 21st, right? I think that's what that's probably indicating, which matches your package graph.
Yeah, it does. Or at least when, like in the middle of the week when we were less than 50% of promoting packages during that week. But we're still like near our target. So like, I don't know if there's, we're off by 3 hours. So there's
Cool.
that.
And I think, so this week is a little bit less relevant because I know Skarbet, you and Ruben have already discussed it, but this is the point to sort of say we need to change the frequency, or we need to fix this, or if I had 3 engineers swarmed on this thing that's really been blocking us, it would be great. So that's what we like. I know you've already done that for this week, but for future weeks, please feel free to come in and tell us how we can help you get MTTP. I mentioned a key metrics meeting, so we will certainly put an update in for MTTP over this last month. I realized one thing that has massively impacted this month that we didn't mention on any of our package sort of tagging graphs over the previous weeks when we discussed it, which is Graham was out for 2 weeks. And actually you can see a really big impact on the MTTP monthly. It's the highest we've had since November. And that will largely be because there were no APAC deployments, plus we also had the PCLs. So they really, really impact MTTP, which is quite interesting to see. But also, like, if we have any useful deployments, then we could also highlight that we need some corrective actions there as well.
Thank you, Amy. Anything else someone wants to discuss? Then I'm gonna stop the recording.